Now I'm going in with my markers. You can see here that I'm taking a test sheet of paper and I'm doing little squiggles to see what each color is. I want to make sure that these colors work well together and that they'll blend nicely. So now I'm going in with the darkest orange and I'm starting the calligraphy at the top. Now I'm going in with the lightest yellow and I'm starting the calligraphy on the bottom. So I start off by writing the full letter with the lightest color, and then I go in with the medium shade and put it about halfway up the letter. Then I go back in with the lighter shade and blend those two together. Finally, I go in with the darkest shade and do it on the bottom third of the letter. And then I go back in with the medium shade and just blend those two together once again. So I'm only doing 1 or 2 letters at a time so that the markers don't dry up and they'll blend nicer. If I wait too long in between colors, they become harder to blend and it leaves a little bit more of a line. So I'm adding a little flourish and making it a gradient using the same method that I used for the letters before. So finally, I'm going in with my eraser and I'm erasing any stray pencil lines. And then we're done with the first one. Alright, so let's try another one. So I'm starting this one the same, and I'm making just a line down the middle and across the sides so that I know that my calligraphy stays centered within the page. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of my creative process so that you can see that it doesn't always turn out perfectly the first time. So you can see at first I made the letters a little bit too big and a little bit too far to the center. And now I wanted to add a little bit of a flourish to the top because I felt that it needed more balance. But you can see that I keep going and trying to refine it, but overall I never really end up liking the way that it looks, so I just kind of get rid of it. So finally I decide to bring Don't Stop down closer towards the dreaming so that it doesn't have such a big empty space. Again, I'm going to go in with my eraser and I'm going to erase the pencil lines so that they're very, very light. I want to make sure that they're extra light during this process because I don't want them to show through the watercolors, which can be very transparent. Alright, so now I'm taking my palette and my water and I'm adding pink and purple and blue to my palette. I like to use these colors because they blend very, very nicely together. Okay, so now I'm taking my thin paintbrush and I'm dipping it into the water. Now I'm going directly onto the paper and I'm tracing out the calligraphy. This part is a little bit hard to see because it's just clear water, but hopefully you kind of get the idea that we're first adding the water to the paper and then we're going to go back in with the colors on top. In hindsight, I wish I would have done this more like the marker technique that I previously showed, because I found that the water started to dry up a little bit too soon and I couldn't get the colors to blend as nicely. I did end up going back and making them blend, but that's just a tip that I would give to you guys so that you can do it a little bit differently and learn from my mistakes. So once I added all the water, I'm going to go into the watercolor and I'm going to tap it onto the water. You can kind of see what I mean when I say that the water dried up. So when I add the watercolor right on top, it kind of doesn't move and spread the way that I wanted it to. I'm also only adding the pink to the very tops of the letters because we're going to do a pink to blue gradient. Okay, now I'm going in with the purple, and I'm adding it just below the pink. Now I'm adding just a little bit of water and trying to resaturate the areas that have gotten a little bit too dry. Now I'm finally going in with the blue, and I'm adding that along the bottom edge of the letters. Now for the little flourish on the bottom, I'm adding the blue to the bottom of the G, and then I'm going back into the purple, and then finally I'm adding some pink at the very end. So now I'm going over the letters again with just some water to make them blend a little nicer. Now I'm going in with just the blue, and I'm adding Don't Stop above the dreaming. So I'm just adding a couple finishing touches, and then you're done. I hope you enjoyed this month's calligraphy techniques video. Please let us know if you have any comments or questions, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one.